seconds.
There you go.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Muscatine County Board of Supervisors regular meeting for Monday, May 19th, 2025. I will call the meeting to order. First item of business is to review the agenda.
Move to approve as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next item, discussion of possible action to approve an ordinance number 05-19-2501, Muscatine County Special Events on Muscatine. Was that?
Excuse me. Nothing.
Oh, all
Sorry.
right. On the third and final reading.
I don't think we've had any feedback, so I'll make a motion to approve.
All right.
Second.
Just made motion, Curtis seconded.
Didn't we miss number 3?
You know what? I'm looking at a I think a draft agenda. So
Got the right one? Or?
yeah. Let me look on yours here. My apologies. I downloaded it a little too early. But since we got the motion on the table, I'll go ahead and take that. This is a roll call vote. Jeff?
Aye.
Kurt?
Aye.
Danny?
Aye.
I vote aye. And Scott?
Aye.
All right, motion passes. My apologies. We have discussion and possible direction regarding replacement of sidewalks and parking lots at county-owned buildings with Brad Roth of Watersmith Engineering.
I think you had the right
You have the
agenda.
right
number.
one.
Okay.
That sounds like last week.
You have the
Wait,
pending one, Danny.
Well, Brad, you're a busy man. You want to go?
where is the,
Yeah, just,
I don't even
I'm
see
fine
it.
either way.
Oh, there it is. It's on
I'd
6.
pick this one up because I couldn't get that one to print.
Or you can wait a couple items. It's up to you, sir.
Oh, I must have the wrong one.
Okay, yeah, here you go.
Let's do it. We're gonna take an item 6.
Yeah, we are taking item, so yeah, item 6. Apologize for the disorder. Hope it's not causing too much chaos out there. Good morning, Brad.
Good morning. My name's Brad Roth. I'm with Watersmith Engineering. I'm under contract with the county to produce plans and specs for replacement of 2 downtown parking lots and some sidewalk downtown. I understand that you received copies of our draft plans. Is that
Yes.
true? Okay. So as far as presentation, I can give a brief overview of the project. There's no audio or, visual display here or anything that you want to show, is there?
You're fine.
Okay. So we kind of split it into 3 components, and there is a cost estimate that goes with it. The first component is the jail parking lot and the sidewalk associated with it, which is kind of the northeast corner of the jail building. And the second component is the admin parking lot, which is out here, both the upper and lower parking lot. And then the third component is sidewalk along Walnut, from the alley between the public safety building and the jail, along Mulberry, all the way down to our previous project, the jail addition. So, 2/3 of that block that the jail sits on, and just the west side of Walnut. And then it also includes about 2/3 of 4th Street in front of the historic jail building there, from the historic jail building all the way to Mulberry. So those are the 3 components.
Brad, did Eric have you look at the Mulberry, that block from 4th to 5th? Did you guys review that area at all?
No.
Okay. Because I've seen it appears to me we have some sidewalk issues there too, and if we're gonna go in there, I would think we'd be best off to look at all that, but maybe it's not as bad as I think it might be. 'Cause I know that from the corner of Mulberry up for a portion of that, I think there's some areas that probably could use some attention.
So does the city require all landowners with street-facing sidewalk to maintain it at their expense? Or just us?
No, it's
I
all,
think this is the county being a good citizen, is how I read it.
I see.
I think you have to maintain your own sidewalk.
It's like those houses on East Fifth, they've got to maintain their own, for instance.
Yes.
Okay, just curious.
Homeowners have to, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you don't, they will, they'll fix them and then charge you.
Well, I mean, I understand like keeping them mowed and clean and not putting crap
No,
on
like
them.
sidewalk, no sidewalk repair, if you have over,
Wow.
they walk around and if the cracks, there's so much of
Yeah.
a trip hazard or whatever, I don't know what the,
Never on city sidewalk, so didn't know.
yeah.
Hey, sorry, just an interjection.
You are
There
responsible.
are a couple, like the curb and gutter along 4th Street, along the sidewalk. And then there's a little piece on Walnut that needs to be repaired, and the city is willing to participate in that. So we would bid out the project, and then the cost of that curb and gutter, the city would share in that cost.
Okay. And then, so like the spec, I didn't read what you're doing. Are you doing, cause I think they adopted SUDAS, and they're taking like a 5-inch with 5-inch rock. Is that what we're doing?
We're doing, 5-inch sidewalk with 3 inches of rock under it, and then 6 inches of rock and 7 inches of pavement on the parking lots.
And aprons?
Yes.
Okay.
The total cost of this, I'm looking at this sheet here, the total cost of all this is $434,
Yes.
It's the estimate.
and this was included in our capital projects on the budget this year? I don't recall.
So the jail parking lot and sidewalk piece of it, we have the funding for that, it was bonded. The other two are coming in higher than we estimated, so, what we're kind of counting on is maybe some leftover contingency from the courthouse roof project to hopefully cover the remainder, but we'll have to see when that project's done where we stand.
Well, you have to wait till that's done, see how much money we have available, right?
Right.
And this is an estimate. You never know where your contract costs. I mean, I'm sure it'll be close. But you never know where the bids come in.
Yeah, bids this spring have been favorable, but,
You never know.
it can change, contractors get busy. I think the way I understood it is you tackle as much this year as you could, as fit in the budget, and if one of the three or two of the three has to be delayed till next year, then that may be an option for you as well.
Between the admin parking lot and the Fourth and Walnut sidewalks, do we think is more pressing?
Fourth and Walnut.
Is it
Fourth and Walnut are in bad shape over there,
They
aren't they?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, I mean, that's the pedestrian area, so the two lower cost ones are the jail parking and the sidewalk. So if,
So
those two together is almost the price of the admin parking
Yeah.
lot, so.
So if we couldn't do all three, the priority would be jail, Walnut and sidewalks, and then admin.
And do I see there's a little work up by the courthouse itself, Brad?
Two, yeah,
Is that little?
Oh, yes, that would be included under the sidewalk piece as well. There was some damaged sidewalk on the north side of the courthouse from the contractor.
And then Eric had said, well, we haven't talked about, when would we bid this? This would go out to bid shortly, or what? And
Yeah,
then would
we're-
this be this
I'd say
construction
These
year?
are probably 60% planned, so we need maybe a month to wrap them up, and we could be ready to bid July 1st or.
And would we anticipate this work this year, or would we?
Well, in July, so
Yeah,
it would be next budget, which we have that budgeted in there.
Okay.
We could do the jail and then also the East Fourth and Walnut. We have
You have the money.
enough budgeted
We
to
had-
do
you
both
had
of
budgeted
those.
for, right?
Right.
I guess for me, that's the two I'd like to go with, and then wait to see
Well,
what we
I-
got left over from the courthouse.
And I don't know if you and Eric talked, I know there's work going on this building, that's contracts going now, right?
Right.
And so, I mean, do we see conflict there? I know Eric was like, well, maybe we should push that one later because of this building, or, and I don't know if we talked about what we'd do, start date, if we'd let them push, one of these to the next year, cause sometimes if you push contractors too fast, you get high prices too. They can balance their
Yeah.
workload, so.
I'm not familiar with the work going on, but if they're using the parking lot as access, then I think you'd wanna wait till that project ended.
I don't, hang on, do we have I don't remember the timeline on it, cause they've started,
And I believe he said they were gonna do it on the weekends.
they're
So
starting
that
on
they
the
would try to
weekend.
get it knocked out while nobody was here and they could use the front, block off the front here.
Okay. All right. I don't have any more questions.
Sure.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Brad.
Alrighty then.
What are we on? This is just overview.
Yep. So now I have as our next item, discussion which is item 4 on my agenda, discussion of possible action to approve an ordinance for amendments to the Muscatine County construction codes on the second of 3 readings. Any public comment on these that we've had?
I'll move to approve.
Okay, we've got a motion to approve. And a second by Scott. This is a roll call vote. Jeff?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
I vote aye. Danny?
Aye.
And Kurt?
Aye.
All right, it's approved on the second of 3 readings. Next up, discussion and possible action to approve an ordinance to amend Title III, Chapter 2 of the Muscatine County Code of Ordinances relating to the zoning ordinance for private burial sites on the second of 3 readings. Guessing also no further comment here.
I didn't see anything come to the
Yeah,
board.
nor did I.
So I'll move the approval.
A motion
Second.
and a second. This is a roll call vote. Jeff?
Aye.
Kurt?
Aye.
Danny? I vote aye. Scott?
Aye.
Okay, so I think now all the agendas should agree. I'm on to item number 7, items with County Engineer Brian Horshowski. Good morning, sir. Looks like A is discussion and possible action to enter into an agreement number 2025 CO 87 between Muscatine County and the Iowa DOT to pave local road returns along Highway 22 from the Johnson County line east to the east junction of Highway 70.
Yes, good morning. So this is what I briefly spoke to last week. DOT reached out several months ago, informed us that they were going to be resurfacing that stretch of Highway 22. They're actually going to go from roughly Lone Tree to the east Highway 22 and 70 intersection. So with that, they reached out and asked if we were interested in paving our returns, and we certainly are. It's kind of been a long-standing practice here. So we'll enter into this agreement. They will include it on their contract. So what actually goes out to bid to the contractor, and then once it's awarded, their contractor will build it, and we will reimburse. So can be a good deal for us because we get to tag on to their they have very large quantities. I don't know how many miles they're going to be doing. I'm just going to throw out 10 plus miles. But so hopefully we'll see some decent prices. And then what we'll do, a lot of these intersections are at angles, so the actual length is going to vary. But typically it's from the edge of the road. We go back roughly 50 feet and we'll pave that. It's really nice for our motor grader operators. It increases their safety. They don't have to pull up onto the highway to try to fix that lip that kind of starts. And then also that first 50 feet is also where a lot of washboarding tends to happen. So we really like putting them in.
Okay.
We also typically put them in on ours. If we pave a road, we'll put them in on ours as well.
Okay. I'll move the approval.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. And an amended secondary roads budget?
Yes, this is Iowa DOT budget. Remember, I have 2 budgets. I have the county budget and the DOT budget. They each answer to different rules. The only way you can amend DOT budget is for unforeseen circumstances. The only change to this budget is in the vacation of roadway expenditures. So
Okay.
I'll move the approval.
We have a motion
I'll second.
and we have a second. Any further discussion? If not, please signify your agreement by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. Anything else, Brian?
nope, that's all I got today.
Thank you, sir. Item number 8 is discussion and possible action to approve renewal of a Class E retail alcohol license for Casey's Marketing Company, DBA Casey's General Store, number 2472, at 1334 Highway 22, Nichols, Iowa, 52766. That's a lot of numbers.
I'd move to approve. I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. It passes. Item 9, discussion and possible action to approve the minutes of the May 12th, 2025 regular meeting.
I'll move to approve.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. That is approved. Moving right along into correspondence. Scott?
I didn't have hardly anything. I did have that email correspondence from the individual on North 38 there that wanted to be in contact with, who to contact with the DOT on whatever issue their thought process was. And I know Jeff had responded with where that needed to go, but that's the only thing that I had.
Okay. Jeff?
On the 15th, I got an email from the Coalition Against Large Trucks. I sent that, they're wanting us to sign on to that. I sent it to Brian to see if the County Engineers Association has weighed in or if they're aware of it. So this is apparently there's legislation going around or an attempt to increase the load limit on interstate highways. And this group basically says, well, all those loads don't start on the interstate, they start on county roads or in local roads, and they're opposing it. And I think my advice would be we wait and see what the County Engineers Association says, and if they think that we should send a letter somewhere, then the board would do that independently, so. Is that a fair statement,
I
Brian?
think that's fair. I haven't heard anything out of them, recently, but they came around, I think, in '23. Every couple of years they kind of come around, give their spiel.
Yeah, and then I had, obviously we had the, Corey Hogan on the 15th and emailed about some issue on 38, we don't know. Brian reached out to him and gave him contacts with the local DOT and said if there's something, other issue, he'd be happy to help, and I don't know anything back. On the 12th, we got a note from Taylor Collins thanking us for some of our feedback on the property tax bill, and they're actually punting. They weren't able to get that resolved this year, so I think we want to still keep our eye on that and chat with them. And then I think I don't know if I mentioned last Monday on the 12th, Elizabeth Klein sent us a note about cell service at Salisbury, and I know Katie has given her a thorough reply and options, and that's it for me.
Yep. And yeah, I should say the email very much thanked Katie for her response. For me, let's see, so besides that, I received, and I just forwarded to all you guys, from Eric Sanders, our county veteran service officer. He was, in the last 3 years, I think he's been able to help 8 Vietnam vets who did not receive their diploma back in the day get those. We had some of them at the graduation at the Muscatine High School this weekend, and the local ABC affiliate in the Quad Cities did a nice little story on it, about 2.5 minutes, and it was really heartwarming, pleasant, and just really proud of those folks. And just once again, I want to commend Eric for his outstanding service and just how much we appreciate having him. And I know veterans in the county feel the same way. Danny?
I didn't have anything.
Received most all the rest of the emails that the rest of you, but I also had a call on Monday from a resident about intersection at Eliason and 155th. It's I call it a modified T, isn't that what you'd call it, Brian? Because it's got also a Y. Traffic can enter from the west on the Y and do not stop on Eliason. Near wreck there is what he said anyway, and I sent it on to Brian. I don't know if you took a look at it, Brian.
We're still looking at it.
Yeah, it's been that way since
Yeah, it's been that way for
I was
some
a kid,
time.
so a couple years.
We typically,
Had roads back then?
Yeah, they had roads back then. It was paved.
Whoa, but your feet stuck out the bottom
Yeah,
of the
yeah.
car, right?
Yeah. So
How about committees?
the 13th, I had the Lower Cedar Water Management meeting in Tipton, and then on the 15th, I had the Muscatine County Fair Board meeting.
I understand you guys got some really good news.
Yeah, and on Friday, after our meeting, discussion on the new event center, we have several grants pending, and on Friday, they received the CAT grant from the state of about $422,000, so that was a huge one. Got a lot of out of the Fair Board members on Friday, so getting real close to 2 million, 1.9 something right now. I haven't got the report this morning, and I know she had several this weekend too. I don't know if this kind of snowballed or what, but it was good.
Danny?
The 13th, I had Economic Development Committee.
I did not have any committee meetings last week. Jeff?
The 13th, I had a GMCCI Advocacy Committee, which looks at legislation, and on the 14th, I had the Ports of Eastern Iowa. And that was it.
And I had no committee report.
Okay. Excuse me. Item 12, items with the administration office. First up is, discussion of possible action to approve an agreement between Eastern Iowa Community College District and Muscatine Community College and Muscatine County to provide video production services for the period of July 1st, 2025 through June 30, 2027.
On that topic, the only thing I'd like to bring up is there's a lot of times when we either stop and go into closed session or we're doing budgets. There's a lot of opportunities that I've had people bring up that why ain't we showing it, or we get done with closed session and maybe we'll go back into open session and they're just done. It's over with. I think we should capture all those, or when we're doing budget or anything else, should all be part of that process. I mean, it might, there's a handful of people watch it, there's people that ask about it, and I don't know why we're not showing everything that's in the open session.
Yeah, I think that we have, the contract has an agreement, an hourly rate, and that would be just arranging with,
It's kind of based off of how many days. So it's based off just the Monday sessions.
Well, I've seen a lot of times, even if we're not in budget, when we will go into a closed session, we go back in, and I know it might be brief, it might be just be adjourning and stuff, but sometimes there's a little bit of extra that will make we'll go back out of closed session and then make a decision, and those things aren't captured.
It's not recorded because he would have to stick around for however long that is, but if we want to adjust that in there, I'm sure they would look at the fees.
Yeah,
But
I mean, do you wanna ask him about that, see? Cause yeah, that is
I thought there was a clause in the contract when I read it. Maybe I'm confusing, but I think there was an hourly for a special, I thought there was a clause in there, so we would just have to ask him.
Let's see.
And a lot of people like to know, a lot of people that can't make it for budgets like to watch that budget session, and none of that's captured, none of that's
It's all right there.
live.
Mm-hmm. I'm confused as to why it comes out at 0. Is it all baked in?
Well, because it's an as-needed contract
I
fee.
see.
So there is a fee schedule if we were to ask them, then we could do that. So it's your as-needed contract schedule, so they have an hourly rate. So if we have them, want them to stay through a closed session and continue, and then bring it back up, then it would cost us, I don't
We're
know,
paying for the whole closed session,
$85
basically,
an hour.
yeah.
$85 an hour, so.
Okay.
I mean, if that's something we wanna do, I mean, I
Well,
don't.
budget may not be cheap, cause we're in a lot of, that goes on, but, I mean, I know a lot of people would like to have that where they can watch it either live or after the fact.
Yeah, and I don't know in our board budget if we have, like in our budget fees, cause we've set next year's budget, in our admin budget, we typically don't spend all that anyway. Board funds, if you say how much do you wanna allocate, videotaping the board, I don't have a problem, I mean, we could do that.
Yeah. So,
It does have a section for additional.
Yeah,
so it's in the contract, we just have to ask for it.
we just have to budget for it and pay for it.
$85 an hour
And there'll be more editing and post-production too, so, yeah.
and then that's, for 2 operator field productions, so.
Okay, any other discussion on this?
So I'd move, we approve the agreement.
Okay, Jeff has moved, is there a second?
I'll second.
Danny seconded. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Anything else, Kayla?
just a reminder that next Monday's a holiday, so there will be no board meeting next
Aw.
Monday.
Okay. Item 13 is receive information from county employees. Anybody got anything for us? Katie? Welcome, ma'am. Conservation Board, Katie Hammond. And I don't know if you were here, last week I got a request that everybody speak into the microphone more directly, so
Oh,
pull that thing down.
yeah, I'm short, so I need to pull it down a lot. Just a little update. So for environmental education, our naturalists have been really busy. They have field trips every single day. They're booked through the end of the school year. And then they also have winter camps pretty well filled up, but there are still a few spaces, especially for the older kids. So if people are looking for things for the kiddos to do over the summer, our rangers have been busy too. They're starting their park patrol rotations, and the beach opened on Friday at Deep Lakes. So that's underway. Of course, today it's cold, so you wonder why, but it was nice over the weekend. The online reservations have been going really well, so we've been getting quite a few reservations. A couple people ask how to do it or come in for help the first time, but they're figuring it out, and it seems to be working really, really well. The campground at Deep Lakes is also kind of charging along. We're expecting electrical to be going in maybe even this week, and so that project is still moving forward also. The only other thing I wanted to discuss was the scuba. I wasn't here at the last meeting, and so I know there was some discussion between Jim and Eric and the supervisors, and so if this board wants to make a recommendation to the conservation board that scuba is maybe too high of a risk or extra liability, we have a conservation board meeting tonight, and so we can kind of go through and talk through that, and they can, rescind that if we want to go that route, so.
There's already been a couple of groups that have been, I guess, approved for scuba so
There
far.
are two groups that have been approved. One is Dive Ventures out of North Liberty, and they're gonna do a lake cleanup, so they're gonna clean up around the shore, but they're also gonna have some people diving and cleaning up the bottom of Lake Jewel and, Lake Violet down there on the southwest corner. And then the other one is Scuba Adventures out of the Quad Cities, and he does trainings. And so I kind of talked to some people about the history of this since I wasn't here for that. And what was decided is that if people were asking to come do scuba for a training or a cleanup or something like that, that under special event permits, we would potentially allow it if it, conformed with what we were doing. But if they just wanted to come and scuba, then the answer was no. And so I don't think the conservation board, I don't want to speak for them, but I don't think they would have a problem saying, we agree with you, maybe that is too high of risk and liability. But yes, we did approve two special events permits already earlier this year, so.
I think that provided they do the individual releases and it's a part of a sanctioned event, and, maybe if, I'd recommend the conservation board consider requiring them to have some kind of emergency services agreement or something, so that it's clear that the county's not, involved. I mean,
Do we currently have any kind of
these
documentation?
activities are important for a number of items. We have divers and some of our fire rescue and some of those others, so I know people need to practice and train, and that's important, but I think we just need to make sure that we keep the county taxpayer
Covered.
risk mitigated. I think as a special event only would be for sure, but.
What's our current risk now? Do they sign some kind of waiver currently that takes the liability off of the county if something would happen, or?
They don't sign waivers with us right now. They sign the special events permit, the group leader, and then they sign waivers with their event, with the event coordinator, and they provide us with their certificate of insurance showing $2 million worth of liability, the event coordinator.
So they give their event coordinator a waiver. Are we named in that waiver?
I don't believe so.
Jim, what's your thought on the matter?
Well, as I told Katie, to me, if they're in county, that's probably a little bit more tolerable from the standpoint that the out-of-county folks, that's a board decision. The individuals need to provide a waiver. They're not gonna have individual insurance, so the entity that's coordinated would have to. I just wanna see the certificate and see what it covers, because I don't know
Sure.
what it covers and whether or not it covers the individuals that are participating or not. And so if it just covers the entity that's coordinating it to the extent they do something wrong, then, I just would prefer to know what it is, because it may be okay, it may need tweaked a bit, assuming you're wanting to allow those types of activities. It doesn't, as it's described, doesn't provide for any supervision, doesn't provide for emergency services. I don't know what it does about contact with conservation, they're coming, they're there, how long it's gonna be, and all of that, I don't know, and certainly don't wanna be over-involved as to put ourselves in a position we might be at risk for not doing something, but it'd be, those details that would apply to the special permits would also apply to this, in terms of reasoning and coverage.
Yeah, and then my question would be, if we have them sign one of our waivers, that probably means we have to be there to accept their waivers and look at them and make sure that they're signed and the people who are signing them are actually there and handing them to us. And so that could be a staff issue for us too, because they're, on the weekends and stuff like that when we're, you know, kind of doing other things or don't have a lot of staff working, so.
Well, and I'm also concerned about the extent to which certain things could be waived. I mean, if theoretically there was a negligent situation created by someone with the county, that would not be waived if that caused an injury. And, you know, I could foresee any number of situations, not that I'm saying we're negligent, but, you know, someone, I don't know, doesn't tie up a canoe right and it blows away and someone bonks their heads on it and drowns, you know. That would all be on us, as I understand it, very likely. So I'm leaning toward I don't like this at all. I think it's just an inherently unsafe activity. But what do you guys think?
I'm with you. The two groups that are currently signed up, they're not county, out of Muscatine County groups.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Yeah, one's out of, we don't know who the participants are. The participants might be within the county, but the groups are leading it outside of the county.
Yeah. I have a hard time accepting the risk for the gain. I'm having a real hard time with it.
Are you talking about just out of county folks or all folks?
Well, I think you would be able to allow your own county people to train, because you would have all the necessary ducks in a row for the situation at hand. But someone outside the county to come and present itself as they're doing you a favor to come and clean up your waterway, I struggle with that.
So when you say our own people, are you talking about our search and rescue people or just county residents in general?
I'd say search and rescue.
Search and
Not
rescue.
recreation
Okay,
agency.
that's what I wanted to
Yeah,
make
no,
sure.
I'm
Search and
sorry.
rescue or our dive teams members.
Otherwise, nobody's gonna
No,
have insurance.
No recreational.
No recreational,
Right.
strictly training for search and rescue. I guess I wasn't specific on that.
That's okay.
I lean that way too. I don't want Danny to go out and start learning how to scuba by himself, for sure.
Dang. Danny's getting shredded today.
I'm getting hammered.
Wow.
You hit me up about that.
Yeah, that was that comment about the age of the road, yeah.
It sounds like we'd be possibly taking on some risk if we do allow it, so I mean, I'm on board with that. I mean, not letting anybody except search and rescue or anybody local that would be training
Yeah.
for emergency services.
So I
I'd
think-
be okay with that.
It's fair to say that we would seriously make a recommendation that they rescind those permits or whatever they've issued, and, you know, only use the park in that manner, because ultimately it's the taxpayer who's footing the bill.
Sure. That provides good clarification. I will take that to the board tonight, so.
Appreciate that, thank you.
That's all I have unless you had any other questions for me.
Thanks, Kate.
Thank you.
Any other county employees wishing to address the board? Not? Moving to the public comment section. Not seeing a lot of members of the public present, certainly none moving toward the podium. So, if there's nothing else for the good of the order, we are adjourned.